Hi, this is Linny, the FanFiction Critic, and before tonight's episode, I wanted to give two shout-outs to two very special reviewers who left some very special comments on my profile. My first shout-out goes to Her Guardian Angel, 1991, who left this note on my page. Look, I appreciate the fact that you like my show and that you watch it, and I'm very sorry that you do not like the Fanfic Critic. However, she is a very good friend of mine, and I will not allow you to insult her on my page. Keep your opinions about her to yourself, okay? She's a very good friend of mine, and I will not allow you to insult her like this. Good. I'm glad we had this talk. Now, my second shout-out goes to a very special young man named PP Chico. Oh, PP Chico, that ain't what your mother said last night while I was busy doing her hard. Yeah. She said a lot of things, but she didn't say that. Here's some of the things she did say, though. She said that you wore diapers up until you were about 7 or 8. She said that you're sexually attracted to the orange M&M. Yeah, I can see that. And she said that you are unable to maintain an erection unless you hear a small child singing the Mickey Mouse Club theme. Also, if you are going to put hate speech up on my page, I would appreciate it if you at least spelled it correctly. I mean, what are you, stupid? That is so not how you spell that word. Honestly, how dumb do you have to be that you can't spell a one-syllable word? Honestly. Ugh. It's clear to me that you're just a troll and you can crawl back under that bridge you live under, right? I'm glad we had this talk. And now, on to tonight's show.
Hi, I'm the Fanfiction Critic, and this is what you do with a BA in English. Now, as promised, today I'm reviewing the sequel to Shel Norlund's stolen story, Marie. This story is called Quasimodo and Marie's Baby. 3 guesses as to what happens. Let's kick things off with an author's note.
This is after Quasimodo and Marie were married from the precious story. Marie, and this talk about when Marie just found out that she is pregnant with Quasimodo's baby. Enjoy.
Gee, Shel Norlund, thanks so much for telling us exactly what is about to happen in this story. I guess this means I don't have to review it. See ya! Fine, I'll review it, but I won't enjoy it.
This all takes place in Paris, France, with a beautiful sunny day. The birds were chirping to the marvelous tune, flowers are blooming and growing, and the townspeople are all getting everything they need for the day. In the Notre Dame Cathedral, the lovely wed couple, Marie and Quasimodo, are now living together in the Notre Dame Cathedral. This happened about a month ago when they were married, along with their friends, Esmeralda and Phoebus.
Semicolons. Now lots of people think that semicolons are tricky, but in reality, they're not. They're actually pretty easy to use. In fact, here's how we use a semicolon. We have one complete sentence and one incomplete sentence, and we can connect them with a semicolon to make one sentence, like so. Once again, we have our complete sentence, and our incomplete sentence, or sentence fragment, now we've used the semicolon to combine the full sentence and the sentence fragment, making one full and complete sentence. You do not really use a semicolon when you're introducing your characters, like so. You don't do it because it's incorrect and because it's sloppy. Also, you don't say the lovely wed couple, because that sounds clunky. You could say the lovely wedded couple. because that's less clunky and it makes more sense. Well, on with the plot, I suppose.
Since right after Quasimodo and Marie were married, they're friends. Esmeralda and Phoebus just told them that Esmeralda is now expecting a baby, and they seem very happy for their friends that they were expecting a little baby into the family, and they asked Quasimodo and Marie to be the baby's godfather and godmother, which they somehow made them feel surprised and didn't know what to say.
This is all one sentence. One sentence right here. Okay, alright, who remembers what I said the first time? Remember, run-on sentences are not your friend. Run-on sentences are bad. They will kill you. If given the chance, run-on sentences will end your sad, pathetic little life. Also, gee, Shelnor Lund, would you like to show us this scene instead of just telling us about it? I mean, you could have a scene where Esmeralda and Phoebus come over and they're all excited and they tell Quasimodo and Marie that Esmeralda's pregnant, you know, with like some dialogue and like maybe some facial reactions and stuff like that, you know, instead of this. Because this is boring.
It was springtime in Paris. However, both Frolos are all dead and gone for good, and there are no problems at all. At that time, the two lovely wed couples, Quasimodo and Marie, along with Esmeralda and Phoebus, are going on a wonderful walk in town to help Esmeralda and Phoebus to get everything ready for their new bundle of joy to come to the world. Clopin saw his friends walking along and he starts to sing.
Yeah, both the Frolos are dead, so there's no possible way we could have any drama or action or conflict. Unless they're zombies.
Brains, brains, brains! Brains, brains, brains! Brains, 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 brains! Brains, brains, brains! Brains, brains, brains! Brains, 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 brains!
That could make things so interesting. But alas, we have no villains and no zombies, and therefore no conflict of any sort. We do, however, have a musical number. 3 stupid paragraphs in, and we've got a musical number. Clopin and the townspeople all decide to sing Wild Angels by Martina McBride. It really doesn't fit the scene.
While Quasimodo, Marie and their friends are in town, helping Esmeralda and Phoebus getting everything they need for their bundle of joy, Marie starts to feel strange to her stomach. Every time she walks, she starts to feel dizzy in her eyes, which is when Quasimodo starts to look at Marie and asks, "Are you all right, my beloved?" "Yet, I'm just feeling dizzy in my eyes. But not to worry, my love, Quasi. I'll be all right. Thank you for your concern," she said. Quasimodo nodded his head and holds on to her hand with his arm around her to support her whenever she feels dizzy again.
Okay, so she's walking along and feels dizzy in her eyes. It's kind of like saying, I feel nauseous in my finger. I'm also not seeing what the strange feeling in her stomach has to do with dizziness in her eyes. That's like saying, I got this funny feeling in my elbow and I'm real dizzy in my spleen. None of this is fitting together.
While Quasimodo and Marie were helping Esmeralda and Phoebus getting everything for the bundle of joy for Esmeralda and Phoebus, Marie starts to feel another symptom, which is vomiting when her stomach starts to turn upside down. "Please, excuse me," she said, and runs out and vomits in an alley. Quasimodo starts to look concerned and worried for his beloved wife, and he prays for God that his wife will get better soon. He starts to comfort Marie, who is sobbing and hoping that her symptoms will go away. "I don't know what's wrong with me," she added.
You've had these symptoms for 5 minutes. For all you know, you had some bad sushi, or you watched Clash of the Titans in 3D. Or this choppy, redundant writing is what's making you sick. Oh, and thank you, Shelnoland, for explaining what vomiting is. I thought vomiting was where all your teeth fall out. Thanks so much for explaining.
"Don't worry, Marie. I'm sure that Clopin might help you. Come on, Let's get to the Court of Miracles and see what Clopan can do to make you feel better, Esmeralda said. Quasimodo starts to rub Marie's shoulders to give her some comfort, and Marie smiles at Quasimodo with her hand on his hands. Once they all got to the Court of Miracles, they all went to see Clopan, the gypsy leader, to help Marie with her problem. Quasimodo is there by her side whenever she still feels dizzy or has the urge to vomit. Along the way, Marie also starts to feel cramps in her lower stomach and feel nauseous.
He may be a disheveled hobo, but Clopan is the finest doctor medieval Paris has to offer. I think Clopan's medical expertise is limited to this.
But we've seen all the evidence. Wait, I object! Overruled! I object! Quiet! Dang!
Kids, undiagnosed schizophrenia is never funny.
Her symptoms were dizziness, nausea, vomiting, and feeling cramps in her lower stomach, just like how I felt when I was pregnant, Esmeralda said quietly to Clopan. Oh, I see. Have her lay on the bed in your bedchamber, and I will see what I can do to help, Clopan said. Esmeralda nodded her head, and turns to her friends and tells them on what Clopan had said, and they all head out of the tent and go to Esmeralda's bedchamber and have Marie lay down.
I'll see what I can do. This being medieval times, I'll need a poultice and a whole lot of leeches. That should solve the problem. And yes, Shelnorlund, all pregnancies are completely and totally identical. That's why Esmeralda and Marie have the exact same symptoms.
Marie, mademoiselle, I will have to say is, well, congratulations, you're pregnant, Clopan said. Marie and Quasimodo both looked shocked, and they start to look at each other, and then, all of a sudden, they smiled, and give each other a hug and kiss that they are now expecting a baby, just like Esmeralda and Phoebus. When is the baby going to come? Phoebus asked. If my calculations are correct, I will have to say, at the end of the year, which could be the same year as Esmeralda's baby as well, which will come before that, which she is getting close to the end of her first trimester, Clopan said.
Shelnorlund, you are aware that it does not take a full year for a baby to gestate inside of a human female. It only takes 9 months. You're aware of this, right? 9. Only 9 months. This many. This many months. This many. Oh, God. Also, this takes place during the 1480s, which is long before people started using the word trimester when discussing pregnancy. Clopan would have said something like, Esmeralda is near the end of her 3rd month of pregnancy. Also, if the babies are due to arrive at the same time, how did Marie not know she was pregnant? Oh, goodness. Shelnorlund, do we have to have the talk? Oh, crap. We have to have the talk. Okay. You see, Shelnorlund, when a girl reaches a certain age, she starts to get her period, which is her body's way of saying, guess what? We're not pregnant. The period will usually come every single month at the same time, up until the woman hits menopause, which is in her 50s or 60s. Kind of varies. Now, if you're a youngish woman, like Marie, and you haven't had your period for 3 whole months, then guess what? You're pregnant, and you probably know it. And if you don't know it, then... well, then you're just stupid is all!
Wow, I just don't know what to say. This is wonderful, Quasimodo said, feeling a tear in his eye, and quickly brushed it away. Marie smiled and gives Quasimodo a kiss on his cheek and says, oh, Quasi, this is amazing. We're going to be parents. I can't wait to tell my parents about it. Yes, it's very exciting, he said, feeling anxious, until all of a sudden, he fainted with a smile upon his face. Is Quasimodo going to be okay? Marie asked on what Quasimodo did that got him excited. Yes, he's going to be alright. He just fainted. I'm sure he'll be alright, Clopan said. Marie looks down and smiled at Quasimodo still on the ground.
Actually, he's dead. But since her husband has passed out and no one seems to care about this, Marie decides to sing Looking Through Your Eyes by Leanne Rimes. Clopan is very moved by this.
Clopen had a tear in his eye with a little sniffle, and said, "Oh, this is so wonderful. And you all spoke like true gypsies. It just brought me into tears, and now you're all now expecting miracles into this beautiful world. And I will do anything to help you all to get through these pregnancies, I promise. Cross my heart and hope to die." Marie and Esmeralda all smiled at Clopen that he's going to help them get through their pregnancies, and they also smiled at their beloved husbands, and they give them a kiss on the lips that they are now expecting their miracles to come to the beautiful world.
Oh God, it's so beautiful. I know I'm just a filthy vagabond who somehow has a medical degree, but you're both pregnant and we're all singing. Oh. And best of all, there is no conflict in this story, so it'll be nice and boring.
Once Marie and Quasimodo found out that they were now expecting a baby into their lives, once Marie is doing something in their bedchamber, Quasimodo starts to talk to his gargoyle friends, Hugo, Laverne, and Victor, about the good news from outside the bell tower. "So, what was wrong with your beautiful Marie?" Hugo asked. "Well, this is going to be quite a shock to you all, but we just found out that we're expecting a baby into our lives," Quasimodo said, and then, all of a sudden, the gargoyles start to feel surprised, and give Quasimodo a hug.
You'd think that because he's married and has a baby on the way, he'd stop talking to his imaginary friends. You'd think.
"Thanks, everybody. I know I will take care of Marie, to help her get through this pregnancy, since Esmeralda is also pregnant with Phoebus' baby. I also appreciate on you all going to do, but let's not fool ourselves. Marie is in her first trimester, and Esmeralda is close to the end of her first trimester. I am sure that Phoebus and I will do anything that we can to help Esmeralda and Marie to get through this pregnancy," Quasimodo said.
I appreciate your concern, imaginary friends, but let's not fool ourselves. That made absolutely no sense. So Marie and Quasimodo take some time to sing Somewhere Out There from An American Tale, which doesn't fit the scene because it's supposed to be sung by two people who are physically separated and miss each other. It's not supposed to be sung by two people who are in the same goddamn room.
In the background, the gargoyles were watching Quasimodo having a very peaceful moment with Marie, and they all seemed very happy about a little baby that is going to come to the world. All of a sudden, the Duke and Duchess of France came up to the bell tower and they saw Quasimodo and Marie.
They seemed happy about that baby, but they weren't. They knew that their sex life would wither away and die. They knew that they'd never get any sleep, and they knew that they'd never, ever get the stench of baby vomit out of their clothes, no matter how hard they tried.
"Hello, the wonderful wed couple," the Duchess said. Marie and Quasimodo looked up and they saw the Duke and Duchess of France at the door. Marie smiled and got up, but Quasimodo sets his hands on her shoulders and says, "No, no, Marie. Just try to relax and rest. We don't want to hurt the baby." Marie smiled at her beloved husband and continued knitting. The Duke and Duchess overheard on what Quasimodo said the word baby. "Baby. Oh, Marie and Quasimodo, we're so happy for you both," the Duchess said with excitement. The Duke just smiled at his daughter and son-in-law that they're now expecting their first child. He goes over to his baby girl and gives her a kiss on the forehead, and shakes Quasimodo's hand to congratulate him for giving Marie lots of support, comfort and love.
Okay, first of all, you don't walk up to your daughter and her husband and call them the lovely wed couple. Sean Orland has used that phrase no fewer than 18 times in this stupid thing. Second of all, Marie has been pregnant for all of 5 minutes. She's not in danger of hurting the baby. She's not made of glass. She's not going to spontaneously combust if she stands up. It'll be okay. And third of all, well, that is just the worst way to tell your parents that you're pregnant. Well, no, the second worst. I think the worst would probably be, "Mommy, I failed my history test. Also, I'm pregnant." After Marie's parents leave, Quasimodo goes off to carve a crib and talk to his imaginary friends.
"Well, the gypsy leader told us that the baby is going to come by the end of the year, which is going to be right after Esmeralda's baby born. And I am hoping it's going to be a surprise for the baby, whenever there's 1 or 2 babies. Who knows? I just hope that it could be a surprise. Quasimodo said. Oh, Quasi. I am pretty sure that a surprise is a wonderful suggestion on how many baby or babies you and Marie are going to have, but we're just going to have to wait and see what the future has for you both. Laverne said and starts to hop away and turn to stone.
Yeah, even though Clopin is an unwashed, perpetually drunk hobo, he's also a medical expert.
Oh no, my sweet. I've seen the way he looked at you. He wouldn't touch a hair on your head.
Please don't.
Dance. You will dance.
Also, Quasimodo hopes that the little crib he's making will be a surprise for the baby. Look, I've got news for you. When you're a newborn, everything is a surprise. You want to know why? Because you were just born and you have no idea what's going on, and therefore everything is a surprise. In fact, I'm pretty sure that a surprise is a wonderful suggestion on how many baby or babies you and Marie are going to have, but that sentence made no sense. At all. Whatsoever. Oh, for the love of God, please read your story out loud before you go and put it on the internet, okay? Just do that. Read it out loud before you put it on the internet. So Quasimodo sings What Mattered Most by Ty Herndon, another song which does not fit within the setting of this story at all, and then he finishes making the crib.
I would be happy if the baby or babies are going to be a surprise, so I could paint this crib that Marie will like, he thought to himself, and then he gets to do the evening mass and then goes to bed when he saw Marie sleeping peacefully and almost finished with the blanket. He smiled at his beloved wife and goes over to bed, lay down next to her, and gives her a good night kiss and goes to sleep for the night.
Apparently it only took him 5 minutes to carve a full-on baby crib, and it only took Marie 5 minutes to knit a full-on baby blanket. Well, you know what? It's gonna take me less than 5 minutes to say that this story sucks. Anyway, let's cut ahead 4 months later and witness Marie have a complex medical procedure.
And that same time, it was Marie's ultrasound, and Quasimodo is really nervous to see the baby inside of her stomach. Once they got to the Court of Miracles, they saw Clopin who was expecting them and are ready for the ultrasound. Esmeralda and Phoebus were there as well. They're going to have their ultrasound as well. Ah, greetings, my friends. Clopin said while greeting Quasimodo, Marie, Esmeralda and Phoebus.
Guys, when does the Hunchback of Notre Dame take place? Oh, that's right, 1482. And when was the ultrasound machine invented? The 1900s. So let's see, we are off by 500 years. We are off by 500 years. You know, when this story takes place, the toilet had not yet been invented. You just did your business wherever. Why on earth did you think an ultrasound machine would exist? I mean, okay, let's look at some footage from some different versions of the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
All the good people of Paris are invited to join in the festivities. You are welcome to attend the Festival of Fools.
Press was considered a novelty, and no one thought that it would catch on. Shelnorlund, what on earth made you think that an ultrasound machine would exist?
Once they got inside the tent, Clopin had a very special gypsy who is a nurse and very good with pregnant women. Everybody, I would like you to meet our very special nurse Alexandra. She is very good with pregnant women, and knows exactly on what they're going through. Clopin said. Alexandra is a very pretty nurse. She is wearing a light blue dress with a dark blue belt around her light blue skirt with a navy blue hairband on her head.
Apparently Clopan is a doctor, seeing as he has a nurse with him and he knows how to operate an ultrasound machine. He sure had me fooled.
I'll give you a count of 3 to change your mind. 1, 2, 3.
Come to think of it, he's not that different from my doctor. Anyway, Esmeralda gets the ultrasound first.
That's right. 8 beats in a minute, perfectly normal. Everything's perfectly normal, and your baby is doing fine, and still moving around. Whenever you hear those pops in your stomach, that means that the baby will start on catching the hiccups, which is still normal. And I will have to say that you're about 4 or 5 months along, Alexandra said, feeling Esmeralda's stomach to see how far along Esmeralda is in her pregnancy. Wow, Esmeralda said, feeling amazed. Is the baby a boy or a girl? She asked. Well, as far as I can tell, I don't have the right equipment to find out if the baby is a boy or a girl, but I am hoping it could be a surprise. But be patient, you'll just have to wait and see what the baby is going to be once it comes out, Alexandra said. Esmeralda just nodded her head as if she understands.
I'm not an expert, but I don't think you can get the hiccups when you're in the womb. You see, when you're in the womb, you're not breathing. You're surrounded by amniotic fluid, which you are feeding on, but you are not breathing. Babies have to learn how to breathe. They are not born knowing how to breathe. They learn real fast, though. They get the hang of it real quick. Now, Alexandra claims not to have the proper technology to determine the baby's gender, but she's probably lying. I mean, they've probably got a time machine and a hover car and a lightsaber and a teleporter stashed away in there somewhere. Alexandra just wants the baby to be a surprise, which is a little rude, seeing as it's not even her baby. She has no right to withhold medical information like that.
After Esmeralda came out of the tent, she told everyone that she is 4 or 5 months along into her pregnancy and everything is perfectly normal, which they all give a sigh of relief that the baby is doing okay. Then, it was Marie's turn, and she goes into the tent, and she starts to lie down on the bed, while Alexandra feels Marie's stomach to see how far along she is, and that she will get to hear the baby's heartbeat. While listening to the baby's heartbeat, Marie starts to sing softly.
And she's singing. Oh, what a surprise! Also, heartbeat is one word. It's not hyphenated. Also, Marie is 4 months pregnant and Esmeralda was 3 months ahead of her, so Esmeralda should be about 7 months along, not 5.
Yeah, who taught you math?
Anyway, Marie sings Thinkin' About You by Trisha Yearwood, and Alexandra tolerates the musical interlude.
Alexandra looks at Marie and says, "Your baby is doing well, like it's doing flips. He mostly take it right after the father. Anyway, everything is perfectly, and everything is doing fine. I say you're about 5 to 6 months along now. I say your baby is going to be big. I also believe that your baby is going to be a surprise as well, but you'll have to wait and see what the baby is going to be. Just be patient and you'll see what the baby is going to be once it comes out."
No, Marie is not 5 or 6 months along. She is 4 months along. Do you want to know how I know this? Because Shelnor Lund stated that less than 5 minutes ago. Shelnor Lund, you can't contradict yourself like this. Pick something and stick to it. Also, Alexandra seems to be flat out refusing to divulge the baby's gender here, which is just bitchy. Quasimodo and Marie go home and sing some more, because it wastes space and does nothing to move the plot forward.
No, it is too cute, and they did say their baby is going to be a surprise. Looks like we're going to have to wait for the baby to come, so we could all find out on what the baby is going to be. Hugo said. "SHH, they'll hear us," Laverne said while getting Hugo to quiet down. However, Quasimodo and Marie heard them. "What was that? I thought I heard the gargoyles were talking," Marie said. "Oh, yeah, those are gargoyles, and they're my friends, but not to worry, they're friendly, and I will like you to meet them." Guys, you could come on out now and meet Marie, Quasimodo said. Then, the gargoyles all hopped over to where Quasimodo is, and Marie just had her mouth open and her eyes wide and says, "Am I dreaming of this?"
Ladies, when your husband says, "Honey, I'd like you to meet my imaginary friends," you need to get out of there immediately. But no, the gargoyles are not Quasimodo's imaginary friends as they were in the film. They actually can talk and move. They just only do it when he's around. So they all decide to talk to Marie, who is not at all weirded out by the fact that 3 stone carvings just came to life and started talking to her. Yes, it is totally normal when inanimate objects come to life and talk to you now.
Why, yes, I am now 5 to 6 months pregnant, Marie said. Sue, I am so proud of the way you took care of our boy, Laverne said and gives Marie a hug. So, what's the baby going to be? Hugo asked. We don't know yet, but we think it could be a surprise, maybe. Quasimodo said. Oh, a surprise will be wonderful and very exciting, Victor said. Do you all want to feel the baby move or kick? Marie asked. Sure. All 3 gargoyles and Quasimodo said at the same time, and they all start to feel the baby move and kick around in Marie's stomach.
It could be a surprise, but it could also be a consternation, or a godsend, or an epiphany, or a whammy, or any other synonym for the word surprise. I love how they keep asking what the baby's gender will be, even though we've been told repeatedly that we don't know, and that it will be revealed later. Personally, I'm hoping for a puppy.
As months had already passed, Marie was getting bigger and bigger every single minute. She, however, starts to feel the urge to have some weird delicious cravings for food, which, however, causes Quasimodo to get everything to make Marie feel comfortable, and everything she pleases. But he did got lots of help from Phoebus, since he was helping Esmeralda to get through her pregnancy, along with the weird cravings, and he also had some help from Clopan, Hugo, Victor, and Laverne, which they are all very helpful.
Man, I'm having such weird, delicious cravings for food. It's like Shelnor Lund got lazy and couldn't think of anything weird for Marie to crave. What about anchovies and maple syrup? Or maybe peanut butter and pickles? Or maybe a hot fudge sundae with sardines? Sure, none of those foods existed yet, but it's not like Shelnor Lund gives a flying fuck about that.
One day, while Quasimodo and Marie were at the party in the square for Esmeralda's baby shower, including Marie's baby shower as well, Marie starts to feel the urge to get lots of goodies for her baby that is still growing inside her stomach. She goes by the table filled with lots of food there, and she puts everything onto her plate, and goes back to Quasimodo sitting at their table along with Esmeralda, who also had a plate full of goodies on there as well. Phoebus and Quasimodo just stood there with their mouths wide open and looked at each other at the sight of all that food on both Marie's and Esmeralda's plates.
Oh my god, it's so funny because women never overindulge in junk food. Oh man, women are always watching their weight and trying to stay skinny. Oh man, they never, ever, ever load their plates up with goodies and just chow down. It's so funny.
I bet that your baby is going to be a girl. Quasimodo just looked at Phoebus to think that Phoebus was crazy, and he says, I don't know about that. But I am betting that your baby is going to be a boy. But for what I think for my baby, yes, I am hoping for a surprise. But I don't want to take any bets right now. I'm just going to have to wait and see what my baby is going to be.
You know what? I don't want my baby to be a boy or a girl. I want my baby to be a surprise. I'm starting to think that that's fancy slang for hermaphrodite. Anyway, Alexandra shows up and explains some of the mysteries of pregnancy to Quasimodo and Phoebus.
Weird what? Quasimodo and Phoebus asked at the same time. Weird cravings. It means that your 2 women are eating for 2 whenever they have this urge to eat food. So their babies will keep on growing to give them all the nutrients that both mothers and babies will need to stay healthy. Speaking of which, Quasimodo, Since you're not sure on when the baby is going to come, I will have to say, probably around the next 2 or 3 months, since your wife, Marie, is still in her second trimester. But I bet that she had already passed the mood swings, which means that both women could get a little grumpy or maybe a bit sad sometimes, and then they start to feel happy again. But that will pass, Alexandra said.
That's not what a craving is. A craving is when you want to eat something specific. For example, if you really want to eat chocolate, or spaghetti, or chocolate-covered spaghetti. That's a craving because that's for a specific food. Alexandra has just described being hungry. Having the urge to eat is called being hungry. Having the urge to eat a specific food is called having a craving. And when you're pregnant, you're not really saying to yourself, gee, I'd better feed that baby about now. No, the baby is technically leaching nutrients from your body, and you have to replenish them. Babies are like adorable little parasites. I've probably just offended several dozen people. I'm sorry. Also, I'm really glad that the mood swing phase of pregnancy is temporary. It only lasts for like a week, right?
When the delivery comes for both our babies, are we as the fathers going to wait outside while the ladies get to do their work? Quasimodo asked. As a matter of fact, yes, but reason why is because if you see your pregnant wife go through labor and delivery, and once you see all the pain that your wife is going through, there's going to be a lot of shouting, which you both don't like at that time. But you both can stand outside the door while your wife gives birth to your baby. But I also know it's going to be scary, so don't panic. Just try yourself to stay calm and pray for the best to happen, Alexandra said, and then starts to walk away.
Giving birth is just doing work. I guess, maybe. Also, I know it's scary when your wife gives birth. She might yell and shout, and she'll wind up pushing a baby out of her vagina, and that's just yucky. You get to wait outside so you don't get scared. Okay, you're forgetting that Phoebus is a war hero. The man has seen plenty of gore in battle. He's not going to be freaked out by childbirth. Ugh, stop treating these grown men like they're little tiny children.
Once Alexandra left, Quasimodo and Phoebus just stared at each other, and Quasimodo spoke up. That was very nice advice that Alexandra told us about labor and delivery, and whenever goes wrong, I am pretty sure that both you and I will be ready and prepared for it. Phoebus just smiled and nods his head, and then pats Quasi on the shoulder and says, I think you're right, Quasi. She does give us lots of good advice about everything, so are you still up for the bet on whether our babies are boys or girls or whatever? Quasimodo just smiled and says, nope, 'cause I am not betting, but I want it to be a surprise. Phoebus just smiled and nods his head, as if by saying, okay, I understand.
Shut up about genders here. Just shut the fuck up about genders. Besides, we've already made it crystal clear. That baby's not gonna be a boy or a girl. It's gonna be a surprise, like a pony, or an elephant, or a she-male.
Once the party ended, Marie had received so many gifts to help her and Quasimodo with the baby, and so did Esmeralda and Phoebus as well. They both received so many gifts, like dolls, teddy bears, rattles, blankets. However, both Marie and Esmeralda almost fell out of their chairs when they both received some nice cute baby cribs that they both received from Phoebus and Quasimodo.
Those sure are nice presents. They're not terribly useful, but they're nice. What, no one gave them baby monitors, or car seats, or high chairs, or diapers, or Baby Einstein DVDs? All they got were dolls, teddy bears, which haven't been invented yet, rattles, and blankets. Oh my god, what a shitty baby shower. Anyway, Marie's parents and the Archdeacon stopped by to further slow down the story.
I am doing wonderful, Quasimodo. I just want to congratulate you and Marie on the delivery of your child that will soon be born, and hope that God will bless you both, and so will I, and pray for the best to happen to have a wonderful miracle to come to this world, the Archdeacon said.
Yeah, congratulations on the delivery of the baby that hasn't actually been born yet. Okay, serious note. Sean Norlund, are you not a native English speaker? Is English a second language? If it is, then, sweetie, please, post your bad fanfiction in whatever your native language is. You're making a valiant effort at English here, but you're just failing. And if English is your first language, then my God, I feel so sorry for your teachers.
I see that my baby girl is getting bigger and bigger by the minute. And looks like you have been taking care of my daughter, Quasimodo. We are so grateful that we have met you, and that you have a very good soul, the Duke of France said to Quasimodo, and starts to pat Quasimodo on the back, hard. Ah, Quasimodo said when he felt the slap on his back and causes him to rub the back of his hunch on his back, and he giggled for a bit. Now come on, Robert dearest, don't be too harsh on Quasimodo. He's going to need his hunch whenever he wants to give his baby rides on his back whenever Quasimodo runs around the cathedral, the Duchess of France said with a smile, and gives Quasimodo a kiss on the forehead, which somehow made Quasimodo feel bashful.
Yeah, Quasimodo's always running around the cathedral like a 7-year-old with ADHD. That'll be perfect for the baby. He can carry the baby around and swing it all over the place. It'll be fine. The baby can just hang on to his hump for dear life while he runs pell-mell through the bell tower. It'll be the best childhood ever!
Oh, don't worry, Quasimodo. When I first became a father to my first child, my wife had passed away from childbirth because she has lost of too much of blood, and that I had to raise my child on my own. However, for you, dear Quasimodo and Marie, I am pretty sure that this delivery of your child will go very nice and wonderful. All you have to do is pray for God for all the worries that you both are fearing to go away, and hope for the best to come, the Archdeacon said wisely.
Yeah, my wife died horribly in childbirth, but I'm sure your wife's gonna be fine. I just know it. Also, the Archdeacon was never married, because he's a priest, and that takes a vow of celibacy. Being married and fathering a child requires you to do the one thing that the Archdeacon is not supposed to do. Have sex. Well, let's skip ahead to the author's note.
This chapter talks about Marie and Esmeralda going through some weird cravings, and that Alexandra gave Quasimodo and Phoebus some good advice about labor and delivery. This also talks about letting the gargoyles be the official guardians to Quasimodo and Marie's baby once it comes to the world, and letting the Archdeacon give Quasimodo and Marie some advice about praying for the best to happen and let the worries just flow away, and have a miracle to come into their lives. The song I put for this chapter is called Fine Line, Singed by Little Big Town. Please review.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't actually want to read this, Shellner Lund was kind enough to summarize each chapter in an author's note, which is incredibly pointless. I mean, why? Why explain what just happened when it's written out in extremely clunky English? Yeah, the writing's terrible, but it's not like we don't know what's going on. Shellner Lund apparently thinks that we're stupid. And this is coming from someone who can't figure out the past tense of the verb to sing. Ugh! Let's flash forward to another ultrasound, even though those have not yet been invented.
Well, as a matter of fact, yes, I am going to get my last ultrasound just to listen to the heartbeat and see how the baby is doing. You could all be with us for my ultrasound if you like, Marie said. That will be wonderful. Phoebus said. That's a wonderful idea. Quasimodo said. All of us to hear your baby, Marie. Because we're a family, right? Esmeralda said. You're right, Esmeralda, we are a family. If you and I go into labor when it's time for our babies to arrive, I am sure that the two of us will be able to support each other, along with our two handsome and amazing husbands as well, Marie said. Quasimodo and Phoebus just smiled at their expectant wives, and they both looked at each other and pat each other on the back that they'll do their best to support their wives when they go into labor.
Yeah, let's all listen to the ultrasound. It'll be like one awesome party. I'll go get some pot and my Monkeys albums, and this'll be bitchin'! And if we go into labor when it's time for the babies to come out, our handsome and amazing husbands will be sure to help out. because we might not actually go into labor when it's time to have the babies. Shelnor Lund, please, for the love of all that is sacred and holy, do some fucking research! When you don't do research, it makes you look like an idiot.
Clopan, the gypsy leader, just smiled at his friends, and he says, I say you spoke like true gypsies, and you all make such wonderful parents to your bundles of joy that will be coming to this beautiful world. This caused for a celebration, right after Marie's last ultrasound. Once they all went into Alexandra's tent for Marie's last ultrasound, Marie starts to lay down on the makeshift bed with a little help from Quasimodo and Phoebus, and then they all put their ears close to the sonogram to hear the heartbeat and the thumping sounds of the baby's heartbeat. Well, it sounds like the baby's heartbeat is growing a lot stronger, and I think the baby is doing some flips in there, and I think it's taking it right after you, Quasimodo, since you told us you always climb all over the Notre Dame Cathedral. Alexandra said. Yep, I do climb all over the cathedral. Reason why is because it helps me go from one place to another all around the cathedral whenever I need something or wherever I need somewhere to go in town. So it could be a lot faster and quicker at the same time. Heh, Quasimodo said with a smile.
Yeah, the baby's doing backflips and cartwheels inside Marie's uterus because Quasimodo is always running around the Notre Dame bell tower like a manic cheetah on speed. I also love Quasimodo's explanation for that. I climb all over the cathedral whenever I go into town because it helps me go faster and quicker. Yeah, that about sums it up.
I see. Well, the baby seems to be doing just fine, and your baby will be due any day, just like Esmeralda's baby also. Anyhow, Quasimodo, I want you and Phoebus not to panic whenever your wives go into labor. So I want you two to be the best support that both your wives will need to get through labor and birth of your babies, Alexandra said to Quasimodo and Phoebus.
Now don't panic when your wives go into labor. I know it's especially scary for you, the husband, when your wife goes into labor, but don't be scared. It's gonna be okay, right? Right. Let's cut ahead to later when the ladies do their work, as Shelnor Lund so eloquently put it.
When winter came to Paris, France, just one day before Christmas, snow began to fall from the sky at the Notre Dame Cathedral while Quasimodo and Marie were having Esmeralda, Phoebus, Clopan and Alexandra over for dinner. Both Esmeralda and Marie clutched at their stomachs with a gnaw of their mouths, and they turned to Alexandra. Alexandra, it's time, Marie said while clutching her stomach. It's time. Oh my goodness. Gentlemen, please go to your stations. Marie and Esmeralda are in labor now, so I am going to need your help from every single one of you. Okay, let's do it, Alexandra said, and they all got Esmeralda and Marie onto their feet, and they all start to lay down on Quasimodo's and Marie's makeshift beds. Esmeralda was lying on Quasimodo's makeshift bed, while Marie is lying on her makeshift bed also, and they were both breathing through the contractions.
Alright, everybody get to your stations. Esmeralda and Marie, you have to go on the makeshift beds because we don't have real ones. Quasimodo and Phoebus, I'm gonna need your help at some point. Okay, we're ready? Let's do this! Let's give birth!
As the seconds turned to minutes, and the minutes turned to hours, the Archdeacon arrived and he starts to help out with Clopan and Alexandra while Quasimodo and Phoebus were both waiting outside the door so they won't hear the shouting from their wives.
And apparently when Alexandra said that she needed everyone to take their stations, she meant that Quasimodo and Phoebus could wait outside. Well, giving birth is just so scary for the husband, what with the wife screaming and a baby coming out of her hoo-ha and all. It's such a scary, scary thing for the husband.
They heard Marie scream in pain, and she was breathing heavily while pushing her and Quasimodo's baby out with all her might. And they also heard Esmeralda scream and breathing through the contractions while pushing her and Phoebus' baby out with all her might. I believe you, Phoebus, And I do know the reason on why Alexandra had to put us out here, and I think it's because you and I don't want to hear the screaming and yelling as well. And I am sure our wives will be all right. Quasimodo said. Phoebus nods his head and puts his hand on Quasimodo's shoulder, and they all looked at the view of Paris. Then, both Quasimodo and Phoebus had a song in their minds and they start to sing.
Wow, my wife is giving birth in there, screaming in agony as she pushes an object roughly the size of a watermelon out of an opening that's roughly the size of a lemon. Oh, she sounds like she's in so much pain. Let's sing Red Strokes by Garth Brooks.
Passions ungazed, thundering moments of tenderness, rage, war, it's true.
Yeah, because that's a totally appropriate song to sing while your wife is giving birth.
When they singed the last few words, they all heard a baby cry filled the entire cathedral. Both Quasimodo and Phoebus gasped, and they all went inside to find out whose baby came out. And then, they both walked quietly into the room, and they saw the Archdeacon, Clopan and Alexandra with smiles upon their faces, and Alexandra revealed the curtain open, and both Quasimodo and Phoebus both saw Esmeralda and Marie holding on to their beautiful babies. Esmeralda had a baby boy, and Marie had a beautiful girl.
Okay, one sentence, 8 different ideas, all crammed into it, creating the mother of all run-on sentences. Alright, here we go. They finished singing. By the way, it's not singed, it's sang. They're a totally inappropriate song. Idea 1. They hear the baby crying. Idea 2. They gasp. Idea 3. They go inside. Idea 4. They see the Archdeacon, Clopan, and Alexandra. Idea 5. Alexandra opens the curtain. Idea 6. Esmeralda has a baby boy. Idea 7. Marie has a baby girl. Idea 8. Alright, so let's cram all of these ideas into a paragraph that is more than one sentence. Here's how it should look. Oh, look at how pretty that is. Oh, it's all readable and it makes sense. Well, let's ruin it by finding out what these babies look like.
For Quasimodo's baby girl, she has the same white skin as Marie. She has Quasimodo's nose and his chin, and when she opened her eyes and looked up at her father, Quasimodo could tell that she has the same blue eyes as him, and he could also tell that she has the same hair color as Marie with a few shades of red hair that came from her father.
Oh, so she looks like this then? I hate to call a baby ugly, but, well, this baby isn't exactly beautiful. No, I lied, this baby's hideous. Also, when a baby is born, his or her eyes often appear to be a dark gray color. Eye color, blue, brown, green, hazel, etc., doesn't develop until the baby is a few weeks old. The things you learn when you do research! Oh man! Well, let's find out what Esmeralda and Phoebus's baby looks like.
While Marie was resting from the labor and delivery, Quasimodo starts to hold on to his beautiful baby girl for the first time while supporting her head and shoulders. For Phoebus' baby boy, he has the same skin color as Esmeralda. He has Esmeralda's nose and chin, including the green eyes, and Phoebus could tell that his little boy has the same blonde hair, just like him.
Baby's eye color doesn't develop in a few weeks, blah 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 blah. You know, I was hoping that the babies would be a surprise instead of a girl and a boy. I mean, everyone kept repeatedly telling us that the babies were going to be a surprise. Honestly, I was really curious as to what a surprise is. Well, I guess we better name these babies.
Well, me and Esmeralda start talking about names, and we kinda thinking about the name O.F. Zephyr, which it has a meaning, which means for west wind. How about you and Marie, Quasi? What are you and Marie going to name her? Phoebus asked. Quasimodo thought about it, and he tried to remember on what names that both he and Marie had thought to name their baby, until a smile came to him and looked down at his baby girl and says, Fleur, which it also has a meaning, and it means for flower in French. Phoebus and Quasimodo both smiled at each other, and they both looked at their beautiful babies in their arms while they're letting their wives rest from doing the hard work.
Where does the story take place? Medieval Paris. What language do they speak in medieval Paris? French! So explaining that fleur is the French word for flower to a group of people who are speaking fluent French. Oh, for the love of God, how much stupider can you get? Ugh. And it is just so kind of Quasimodo and Phoebus to let their wives rest after doing such hard work.
In the background, from above, the gargoyles, Hugo, Victor and Laverne were watching their boy holding his daughter for the first time, and they all smiled down, looking at Quasimodo with his beautiful baby girl. However, when Fleur opened her eyes, she looked up at the ceiling, and she could see the gargoyles looking down, and she smiled when the gargoyles went, they www. Quietly with no one could hear them. Then, the gargoyles, Clopin had a song in their minds and they start to sing.
What's another intensely inappropriate song we can sing here? I know! Like a Prayer by Madonna. No, I'm not kidding. Clopin starts singing Like a Prayer by Madonna, and everybody else joins in. Because what should you do right after giving birth? Sing. And what song should you sing? Like a Prayer by Madonna. You know, this song. That offends me. Well, I'm not offended that Jesus is black. And I'm not offended that they are doing it in a church. I am very offended that they are not using protection. However, they are setting a terrible, terrible example for the children. Oh God! Won't somebody please think of the children?
And so, both Quasimodo, Esmeralda, Marie, and Phoebus are all proud parents to their beautiful babies, Zephyr and Fleur, and that someday they will teach their babies on how to do everything, just like what their parents do. A gypsy or a captain of the guard, or a bell ringer, and whenever they want to do for their wonderful lives in the beautiful city of Paris, France, and they will continue on into the future and many more to come.
And they all lived happily ever after because there were no villains and all the Frolos were dead, and they went on to sing other intensely inappropriate songs like Janie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith, Cuddly Toy by the Monkees, Mr. Bojangles by the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and Losing My Religion by R.E.M., and there were rainbows and unicorns and lots of candy, and Quasimodo ran all over the bell tower with the two babies on his back, and they all did backflips and cartwheels and talked to the three irritating gargoyles.
I'm not afraid I'm wearing a tie. You go home.
Ugh. Thank God it's over. And it gets an F. It was rife with cliché. It had no action or drama. There was no conflict at all, whatsoever. But plenty of run-on sentences and extremely inappropriate musical numbers that just padded the story out and made it longer than it needed to be. Look, here's a tip for all you aspiring fanfiction writers out there. Do not have sequences where your characters sing modern pop tunes. It does not move the plot forward. It does not establish character. It does not make the story entertaining or interesting. But you know what it does do? It slows the story down. It slows the story to a crawl and makes it extremely boring. That about wraps things up on my end. I guess I better go and... Oh my God, what did I just put my hand in? Oh, is this more red paint? What the heck? What the heck, another one? You know, I don't know what this is in reference to or who keeps leaving them all over my room. You guys know what this is all about? And of course they won't tell me. Whatever. I'm the fanfiction critic, and this is what you do with a BA in English. Madonna, play me out.